What is the role of ACTH in steroidogenesis? Steroidogenesis is the pathway by which cholesterol leads to the production of adrenal steroid hormones, and ACTH is the Adrenocorticotropic Hormone that is released by the anterior pituitary. Let us break down its lengthy name, so we can understand this hormone a little bit better. Well, the whole story of ACTH lies in its name, the Adrenocorticotropic, where the word adreno refers to the adrenal gland. Secondly, cortico relates to the cortex. Thirdly, we have got the word tropic. Tropic hormones are named for their ability to act directly on target tissues or other endocrine glands to release hormones, causing numerous cascading physiological responses. This tells us that the adrenocorticotropic hormone will act on the adrenal glands. Where on the adrenal glands? Specifically, the adrenal cortex. And what it will do there? Yes, it will stimulate the release of other hormones. But how? Is the question. And that is what we are going to answer in this video. Now, to understand the role of ACTH in steroidogenesis, you must know about the pathway of steroid synthesis. Right. Well, recall adrenal gland. Here is the inner part, medulla, that secretes catecholamines. And this is the outer part, adrenal cortex, that secretes steroid hormones. Adrenal cortex has 3 layers. The outer zone is the zona glomerulosa, that secretes hormones, called mineralocorticoids. Like aldosterone, the middle zone is known as the zona fasciculata, that secrete the hormones glucocorticoids, that include cortisol. And the inner zone, known as the zona reticularis, they secrete hormone named as androgens, such as dehydroepiandrosterone, or DHEA, which is later converted into testosterone and estrogen. A quick memorization tip for these layers is the word G, F, R. Now, starting with what is happening in the outermost layer of adrenal cortex, the zona glomerulosa, the adrenal steroidogenesis that occurs in the adrenal cortex starts always with cholesterol. Either it be the plasma membrane cholesterol or the cytoplasmic pool of cholesterol. So, this cholesterol is taken up by the adrenal cells. Now, the first step is the conversion of cholesterol into pregnenolone with the help of an enzyme, cholesterol desmolase. Now, remember this pregnenolone as an incredibly important substance, as it serves as a precursor to all steroid hormones of adrenal cortex. Well, the cells in the zona glomerulosa convert this pregnenolone into progesterone by an enzyme called 3-beta-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenases, or 3-beta-HSD for short. Now, in the next step, progesterone is converted into 11-deoxycorticosterone, or 11-DOC, by the enzyme 21-hydroxylase. After this 21-hydroxylation, the next step is 11-beta-hydroxylation. That converts this 11-deoxycorticosterone into corticosterone by an enzyme 11-beta-hydroxylase. This corticosterone then forms our hormone of concern, aldosterone, which is a mineralocorticoid. This occurs by the action of enzyme aldosterone synthase, which is stimulated by an enzyme, angiotensin II, produced in the lungs. Now, I told you that progesterone serves as a precursor to all steroid hormones. But this is just aldosterone. What about the rest? How does it serve as a precursor for glucocorticoids? Well, pregnenolone and progesterone from zona glomerulosa enters into the middle layer, zona fasciculata. Here, we have an enzyme 17-alpha hydroxylase that turns pregnenolone into 17-alpha hydroxypregnenolone and turns progesterone into 17-alpha hydroxyprogesterone. 17-alpha hydroxypregnenolone is then converted into 17-alpha hydroxyprogesterone by the enzyme 3-beta hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. Now, this 17-alpha hydroxyprogesterone is turned into 11-deoxycortisol by the enzyme 21-hydroxylase. Then finally, by the action of enzyme 11-beta-hydroxylase, we get the glucocorticoid, cortisol. Now, after zona glomerulosa and zona fasciculata, we have the inner region of adrenal cortex, zona reticularis. These cells, produce androgens. But how, is the question. Here, it begins when 17-hydroxypregnenolone and 17-alpha-hydroxyprogesterone from zona fasciculata make their way into zona reticularis, where 17-hydroxypregnenolone is converted into dehydroepiandrosterone, or DHEA for short, and 17-hydroxyprogesterone is converted into androstenedione. Both conversions take place by the action of 17-20-lyase enzyme. Now, this dehydroepiandrosterones is also converted into androstenedione by the enzyme 3-beta-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. This androstenedione, obtained from either way, is converted into testosterone by the enzyme 17-beta-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase, or 17-beta-HSD. Now, in the peripheral tissues, the testosterone turns into estradiol, also called estrogen, with the help of enzyme aromatase. So, that is the overall steroid hormone synthesis pathway, or steroidogenesis. You can take the screenshot, or find the PDF given below in the Resource tab. Now coming to the point, what is the role of ACTH in this pathway? Well, look at the very first step of the pathway. Yes, I'm talking about the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone. This is where adrenocorticotropic hormone acts. It stimulates the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone by stimulating the enzyme cholesterol desmolase, which is required to bring about this conversion. Well, in long-term stress, our hypothalamus releases corticotropin-releasing hormone. Now, you know that the hypothalamus is linked to the anterior pituitary gland by the hypophyseal portal system. So, the CRH released by the hypothalamus reach the anterior pituitary through hypophyseal portal system and targets the cells of anterior pituitary to release adrenocorticotropic hormone. So, ACTH is primarily produced in the anterior lobe of the pituitary gland, specifically the corticotroph cells. And then this ACTH, when reach adrenal glands, it stimulates the enzyme cholesterol desmolase. That brings about the conversion of cholesterol to pregnenolone. Well, this initial conversion is the rate-limiting step for all the adrenocortical hormones. This explains why ACTH is normally necessary for any adrenocortical hormones to be formed. Well, long-term stimulation of the adrenal cortex by ACTH not only increases secretory activity, but also causes hypertrophy and proliferation of the adrenocortical cells, especially in the zona fasciculata and zona reticularis, where cortisol and the androgens are secreted. Well, among these hormones, cortisol is known to produce negative feedback to hypothalamic pituitary axis. This will reduce the secretion of adrenocorticotropic hormone, thus decreasing the secretion of these steroid hormones. So, that was a quick introduction to the role of ACTH in the steroidogenesis. For more such precise videos, keep watching sqadia.com.
Have you ever heard of video books? sqadia.com is delighted to present video books, medical books that have been tailored into a series of videos. sqadia.com videos are presented in the same order as the book's chapters. Explore now and make your learning easy.